things. All right, we are live on YouTube, I think. Hopefully it goes live this time. We tried hitting the buttons before and it didn't work. So here we are. We were just wrapping up the first hour of group coaching here at TSU. I just got the confirmation that we are live, and I can also hear myself talking in my ear, which is really weird. And just wrapping up the first hour of group coaching here at TSU and getting ready to go into the second hour. We did a quick market update at the beginning of the hour, and I'll give you guys the punchline here. We're not going to go and work through it all like we did just a moment ago. But as long as we trade to or within, but not above this red box, we are still technically in a downtrend. Also, as long as we trade to or within, but not below this green box, we could be setting up for an uptrend. Now, one of the hallmarks that I'm going to be looking for is a higher high and higher lows on this move. And that will give me confidence that, okay, we are starting to move forward in a more bullish framework. But I've got to tell you, friends, I don't know that we're out of the bearish woods yet. I just saw an interesting quote, and I'm going to mess it up, but I'll relay the sentiment of it, which is, this is kind of like the stock market's COVID. When the COVID hit and we didn't know how long it was going to take and all that, and it was like, 10 days to flatten the curve, and that turned into 10 months, and that turned into 2 years. And I don't know how long this bearishness is going to be in the stock market, but the economic, the hopeful economic information seems to be rather sparse. The job information that just came out today from who's the big payroll people, just left my mind. Not AMD is what's on my mind because we just analyzed that. You guys will remind me of it here in a second. But the company that does everybody's payroll, I forget what they're called. Somebody's typing ADP. Thank you. I got AMD in the mind. It's ADP. Yes, ADP just released jobs information today, and it wasn't great. It missed expectations. You've got consumer worries about inflation. So if I just saw some research that was done where if you believe that deflation is about to occur, then you had a more positive outlook on the economy. If you believe that inflation was going to be nominal, then you had a pessimistic view, but not as bad as if you believe inflation is going to continue to run rampant. That those respondents suggested that the economy is really in for trouble. And it was interesting. In fact, let me see. It's not going to be easy to pull up that information, but it looked basically like, if I could just give you guys an idea. So this was time. And let's say this is 2020 right here, COVID. And this is today. And this is economic outlook, positive and bad. So we were like cruising along, and then COVID hit, and everybody was like, oh gosh, the economy's in big trouble. Right. And then we're like, oh, actually, the economy is not going to do that bad. So we've kind of hummed along again. And then this report was incredible because here we are today, and the economic outlook was actually worse than where people thought we were going with COVID. People are more afraid today about the economy now than they were when COVID hit. And I don't know how that resides in your spirit listening to this here. Maybe you're kind of like, yeah, I am a little bit more concerned. Like gas is freaking 2 to 3 times as expensive as what I was paying for it. It costs me right now, real money, $30 to make a round trip to Nashville and back. And I do a lot of business in Nashville. $30. Just go burn a $20 bill and then a $10 bill. And that's what it costs to go up to Nashville and back. It would help if I didn't drive a big diesel truck, but that's anyway. So that's not great. And the majority of people are saying, inflation's here and it's a problem. In fact, we just had yesterday, who was it? Not the Fed chair, but the Treasury Secretary was saying, we were kind of wrong about inflation a year and a half ago. And sorry, inflation is here. They were saying there was some factors that we hadn't fully considered or fully respected, how significant they would be. And then, of course, well, Russia and all that, whatever. Bottom line is, it's hard to find a lot of positivity about the economy. And I was just telling the group coaching students before going live on YouTube, in my personal life, I've started to gauge the economy based on how many people ask me if they should take their retirement account and put it into cash, which, by the way, don't ask me that because I don't give retirement advice. That's a really great way to lose friends and create lawsuits, is tell people what to do with their money. So, I don't have an opinion on that. I can help you find ways to be hedged if you're afraid and you want to, preserve your capital. But more and more people have been asking me that. So, coming back full swing here, I don't know if this is just a little reprieve and we're going to head on down lower, or if indeed we're turning the tide and we're going to head on up. I will say, during inflation, the stock market tends to also inflate. I will say, and this is not recommendation, I should probably say this training is for educational purposes only. All analysis is intended for that purpose and should not be considered specific investment or trading advice. Everybody disclaimed, okay? The worst place to be when everything is inflating is in cash. Now, interestingly enough, the value of the dollar is not going down, right? Relatively speaking, it's been going parabolic. Inflation started way back here, and the value of the dollar has been going up. Now, we had a little pullback recently on the dollar just in the last couple of weeks, but the general trend from 2021 has been that the dollar has been going on a bullish. Why would that be? Well, the value of the dollar on the world's platform is improving. It just doesn't buy as much stuff now as it did back in 2021. But if you look at the dollar compared to the British pound, I didn't realize this, but we had inverted parity. The US dollar is actually more valuable than the pound. I didn't realize that. I was actually doing some business, like real transaction business with somebody in the UK, and I didn't realize that the exchange rate was so favorable right now. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. That and $5 will buy you coffee. Actually, that and $10 now will buy you coffee at Starbucks. So keep an eye on these two boxes. I'm going to highlight them so you guys can write down the price points. 4457 down to 4254 on SPX. You can come back and look at this later if you need to. And then also on the bottom box, 4062 3996. And that really is the ping pong match that we're going to be in here. Are we going to break out, or are we going to come on down? I think I mentioned here, but just in case I didn't, look for higher highs. That'll give me some encouragement that we are heading up, or look for some support here. I don't think I would, trade this all the way down to, infinity and beyond quite yet. I don't think we're there, but I'm not super optimistic for bullishness there. And here's the last thing I'll say on this, and then we can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. By the way, just before we went live on YouTube, we heard that Scott's dad fell and was injured. So that's why Scott's not here. And Chris is also feeling under the weather today. Chris is in here, but he asked me to not call on him because he's not feeling great either. So you get me for group coaching YouTube show. What was I starting to say here? Even if this were to be a breakout, I can almost guarantee that there's going to be a pullback into this green box somewhere, and you have an opportunity to buy stocks on sale. The way that you navigate this is trading hedged. And I'm not going to do the analysis. We did it last hour. You should come sign up for Foundations of Trading or one of our other programs so you can come to the first hour group coaching. But Andy, who's in there, brought up USO. So if you're looking for a bullish stock, or in this case, ETF, to be involved in, great option. As much as the economic news is bad, I'm not seeing anybody say that the cost of oil is coming down anytime soon. So I certainly think I'm not bearish on this. It could be neutral. It's probably bullish. And if you have some advanced trading strategies that you understand how to trade, a bull put spread would be fantastic on USO right now. Conversely, we were looking at Overstock. Overstock could be sitting at a support zone, could be, but if it were to continue back down, I may wager that it breaks through support and heads down. Overstock has not made a higher high since back here in the beginning of 2022, and really that was not much. That was just coming back up to resistance here. So I don't see Overstock slowing down. If this support fails before you get down to $12, $14, that's half its value. So you could either short that, or there may be some inverse ETFs on retail stocks that look similar in case you don't want to short. Or you could buy a put option. Would be a great option for this as well. Dave's remind me I moved the red line down on SPX. What did I do? Oh, yeah. One other adjustment that I made off camera, well, in the first hour of group coaching, we moved this line down slightly. It was up here, which is a good line. I mean, you could put another line right there where my cursor is. But I like where we're at now because it's highlighting the fact that we've got resistance, which was old support, and congestion in here. So now that we've been live on YouTube a little bit, let me pull up my YouTube questions. If you're live on Zoom, I'm happy to grab those questions as well. I've got to get to the YouTube studio. I'm going to figure out a better protocol for getting this launched so that I can actually see what's going on. All right, there we are. Weekly group coaching. The current bit rate sucks, apparently. Awesome. Looks like we've got a few on YouTube. Great. Glad you're here. Say hi if you're on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. What questions can I serve you with? That's a quick market update for y'all. I'm just scanning on AMD was another one that we looked at for a potential bullish breakout. Look at that thing going. Kamani was the one looking at AMD. We were analyzing this like way back here, and I was like, I think I'd wait for a pullback, and it's just taken off like a rocket ship. So thanks, AMD. But check this out. It's just so far outside these Bollinger Bands. So this indicator on the bottom is the percent B. The top line represents the Bollinger Band top line, and the bottom line down here represents the bottom line. And so when this red or magenta line gets outside of it, that's price action getting outside the Bollinger Band. And I just challenge you to see how often it gets outside the band and keeps going outside the band. It doesn't happen. It usually snaps back into the band, and the way that happens is with a pullback. So Kamani, if you're not in this trade yet, hold the line, friend. I think you're going to get a pullback, and you'll have an opportunity to buy in at a cheaper price. I hope. Chris said, I was reading research earlier this week. It's just one of the few periods in history where we have the opportunity for the dollar and gold to both move up. That's an interesting study. That's a really interesting study. I haven't read that, but it's right. Do you look at GLD, Chris? I know you don't want to get on too much, but is that what you use for your gold, or do you actually just look at the future on gold? I don't trade futures, so I get a little confused with all of the options. Gold one, is that it? Exclamation mark. It's about the same as GLD did. Interesting. All right. Well, without my cohorts on here, I feel a little bit lost. How can I serve you guys? Ask a question. Send me in a direction. Don't underestimate how much coffee I can drink until you ask questions. I do have some hilarious videos of my son who just got his wisdom teeth pulled out today. I can hear his siblings outside my office here making fun of him.
I think GLD is 1/10 the price of gold, right? I think it's like SPY. Sorry.
Oh, is that how it works?
A little bit late because gold's at almost $1,800.
Let me see here.
I could be wrong about that. It's not something
Yeah.
I trade very often.
I used to trade gold and silver more, and then I actually just started buying real silver. For those that don't know, my grandfather's still around. I'm lucky enough to have that looks almost identical. I'm lucky enough to have a grandparent still around, and he loved silver, collecting it. He's got numismatic pieces. Like, he loves that side of it. And as he was aging, he was wanting to convert some silver into cash, but he didn't really want to give up the silver. So I got on this plan where I just paid him, like spot plus whatever it was, spot plus 5%, or I forget, and which is about what you would get if you bought it from a dealer. And so I started amassing his silver, transferring it from him to me. And so I started just buying the real silver instead of trading the ETF. It was kind of fun. I got the investment. And so silver is often thought of as a hedge against inflation. Ironically, that's why Chris's comment is so interesting. If the value of the dollar and silver are going up together, that's interesting. But they say an ounce of silver would buy you lunch, I suppose. Before, silver's trading at what, $20 an ounce or so. So it bought you lunch in the 1930s. It buys you lunch in 2022. It's just an ounce of silver is worth an ounce of silver, and it's a hedge against inflation. Is the way a lot of people look at it. All right. Let me figure out some interesting things to say, because y'all are super quiet. It's in like, tell me where y'all are at, because I taught all day on Tuesday and class attendance was low. Group coaching attendance is a little bit low right now. Is it just summer? Have y'all got summer vibes, or is there legitimate fear about the market? Like, where are y'all at? Tell me, maybe people just don't care. They're like, I'm going on vacation. I don't want to think about the market right now. Well, you guys are typing that in. And he says, I'm always fearful. So it's not a terrible idea to have fear, but let me speak to that. I'll turn off the screen. We can have a heart to heart here. I was listening to Jim Rohn. He's a mentor of mine, not in person, but I just think he's got some really smart things to say. In fact, I was just telling the TSU team this morning in our team meeting, find yourself some Jim Rohn and just put it on when you're in the shower, and you can listen to music, or you can listen to Jim Rohn. And so this story is an adaptation of one that he tells, kind of the Josh version. But there's two people that go out and they're looking for a house to buy. And one gentleman comes across a house and it is run down. It is beat up. The shingles are falling off. Everything that could go wrong can go wrong. It looks like this thing is on a fast track to being dust. And the gentleman looks at the home and he says, I don't know how anybody could possibly spend money on this house. Look at the condition that it's in. The other person, we'll say it's a gal. She goes out with her real estate agent and they are looking at this home and sees the condition that it's in. And she says, look at this home. I don't see how anybody could afford not to purchase this. Because you see, what she knows is, with a little bit of investment, fix the shingles, repaint the siding, bring this back to something that people become interested in, there's opportunity there, and she knows that she can flip it. She has a different framework that she's operating within. Was one right or was one wrong? No. The first person looked at it and said, I'm fearful. I don't have a system or a structure that can allow me to convert this opportunity into a good idea. So I'm hands off. I'm not going to touch it. They didn't lose any money. They're in cash, so to speak. But the second person said, I know that given these few things that you do and make this home attractive to another buyer, I can 10x, 20x my capital. And the moral of the story here is, when it rains on everybody. You don't get to escape the rain. We talked about this a little bit last week. The difference is what you do when those situations occur. I do not believe that downturns in economy only benefit the rich. What happens is downturns in the economy, they neutralize the playing field. The companies that were lucky get taken out of business, right? If they were surviving because it was just the economy holding them up, they're gone. It levels the playing field and it opens up doors for innovation and new opportunity to step in. Changes in the economy always bring innovation and opportunity. Look at COVID. COVID wiped out the live event industry. Gone. If you happened to own a hotel, you were in trouble. If you owned a restaurant, you were in trouble. If you had a computer and a Zoom account, you were in business. It opened up an opportunity that had never been seen before, and there gave way for people that had skill sets. They had a zone of genius to get their message out to the world, and those who innovated, those who pivoted, were able to succeed exponentially more than those who were unprepared. I can't say that the economy is going to get better in a month. I can't say that it's going to get better in a year. What I can say is it rains on the rich and the poor alike. It rains on the established and the unestablished alike. And the question is that Mr. Rohn would ask you is, it's not the direction that the wind blows. It's the way that you set your sail that determines your outcome. What you're doing today is going to determine if you're rich tomorrow. And the opportunity is here in the stock market. Scott has said this over and over again. It's not the year of the investor, it's the year of the trader. And so we can look at this chart and see the opportunity that's showing up on our doorstep and say, okay, maybe today, June 2nd, 2022 is not the time to pull the trigger because we're in limbo here. But by golly, if we start making higher highs, this is the time to buy. When everybody else is going to cash and freaking out, you know it's the time to buy. That's not financial trading advice. That's just saying, learn to read the charts. Better yet, learn to read the charts and apply appropriate risk management principles so that you're not fearful of losing your entire account. What if y'all just bought a call option right here? Long-term leap call option. I know you don't all understand options quite yet, but let's just do some simple math.
Josh, could you share your screen?
Oh, that's right. Thank you. I will eventually. Stand by. Let's go over here to SPY. And let's just say that you had the foresight to buy a call option at around, right here. We bounced, we came up, we bounced, we made a higher high. Heck, you could have waited until this bounce right there and got in at 279. Right? Let's say that call option was going to cost you even $200, which is generous. Okay. Total. What should that call option be worth up here? Right? At least $200 per share. So that's $200 total, $20 a share. I did the math wrong. $20 per share. Or that's not even right. It's $2 per share. Let's be more generous. Let's recalibrate my options thinking here, Chris. I'm in the moment. What would a $200 SPY call option be?
If you're buying something that's going to last for over a year, then yeah, $20 per share is probably more reasonable. And even that's probably out of the money.
$20 leap option, right? If you were just purely speculative, that's going to cost you $2,000 total cash out of your jeans, right? Come up here. This call option will be worth at least $200 a share back when we were at our peak, because you were at 457 and you've got the right to buy at 260. Heck, even if it was 280 or $300, $150 to $200 value per share. Now, not every account would it be wise to take this amount of risk on. I'm just saying, when preparation meets opportunity, that's what oftentimes looks like luck to people who are uninformed. Go back to our analogy. If you're 2 years down the road, the dilapidated house is now a cute little farmhouse with manicured yards, and it sells for 10 times the amount that the investor gal paid for it. The other person might look at that and say, well, they got lucky. The housing market was really good to them. Did they get lucky? Or did they just have a different framework or a different perspective that they were operating within? I don't want you guys to get tripped up on the numbers, and I want to try to be as accurate as we can. But the point is, right, there's a lot of people that were right here that were fearful. And I don't know that we're right there yet, but I don't know that we're not. And that's what we spent the first hour talking about here in group coaching. We'll know pretty soon. Might take a week to get there. We'll know pretty soon. There's some short-term things that we can do in the meantime while we're waiting for this to play out. But I don't know that we are or that we're not. But what I do know is, as long as we trade to or within, but not above this red box, we're still bearish. And as long as we trade to or within, but not below this green box, we're still bullish. And at some point soon, these boxes are going to get breached, and we're going to know which direction we want to bias our trades in. I hope you guys are encouraged by that. There's a lot of fear out there. I sense that, and maybe that's just where people are at. We don't oftentimes get super spiritual in here, but there's an interesting book in the Bible called Ecclesiastes, and it starts off with a word in that would have been Hebrew, I guess, in the Old Testament. Haval. Haval. It says Haval, Haval. Everything is Haval, and it's translated often meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. You're like, well, that's kind of a depressing thing to be in the Bible. I didn't know that was in the Bible. It is in the Bible, but a better translation of that word is vapor, right? It's all vapor. We try to grab onto it, and it's vapor. It escapes. How many of y'all feel like life is that way sometimes? It's just like I try to grab it and escapes. And what I know now through 43 years of experience, 20 years of trading the market is the sun always comes up tomorrow. There's a way through that can leave you better than you were before. One of the ways that I've worked with our kiddos as we're raising them, and we talk about, what does it mean to be successful? What does it mean to what does it mean to be a failure? The opposite of success. And there's a lot of different ways that we can define success and failure in our lives. I'll turn off my chart again so you don't have to keep staring at my screen, but I'll forget to turn it back on, which means Chris will remind me. And one of the ways that I have learned over time to define success is if I can just do a little bit better today than I did tomorrow and make progress, that means I'm being successful. It doesn't mean that I've turned the $1,000 account into $1 million. We're not there yet, but I can improve a little bit, or I can learn something. I can create a strategy that I believe is going to help move me forward. And if all hell breaks loose, I can always make my bed a little bit more comfortable today than it was yesterday. There's always something I can do. If I lost everything that was around me, we can go and gather up whatever it is to just make our rest a little bit more sweet today than it was yesterday. That's making progress. And so you don't actually have to fail until you decide to give up. So I don't know. Maybe I've just been thinking about this, but a lot of people, a lot of personal friends, y'all are probably way more confident and prepared than my normal life people, just because we've kind of congregated as achievers and striver drivers that y'all are. But a lot of people in my day-to-day life are worried. They're concerned right now. And that never helped anybody. I think it's good to be wise and not foolish, but I don't think it's good to be afraid. So where the economy goes, nobody knows. I don't think it's great. I don't. We got the Treasury Secretary yesterday saying, oops, we thought inflation was going to be transient. Turns out we were wrong. You think? Like, seriously, the entire American public, the entire world knew it was not transitory. But can you guys believe the government didn't tell us the truth? I mean, whatever. I don't care who's in the White House. They just don't count on the government to tell you the truth. But there's opportunity, friends. There really is. And it may be the second time, it may get a second swing at this bat where we get a big giant market reset and everything goes on sale again. I mean, we looked at the COVID crash. I'm going to share my screen. See, I remembered. That was just the COVID crash. I traded through the 2008 crash. Got lucky, candidly. But, what is luck when preparation meets opportunity? I've been preparing. So 2000, actually, well, here's my whole life cycle. 1997. This is interesting. 1997, I read my first book on trading, right? I was terrible in through here, like terrible. So I spell terrible, terrible. This may have well been my personal trading. That's not my 8-week losing streak. That was the market losing streak. And then right here, I got married, and then I was broke. Because what happens? First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the babies in the baby carriage, and then all your dollars go bye-bye. See ya. And right here, I had a business failure. It was in the music industry. You all know you can't make any money in the music industry. And right about here, I was on the doorstep of bankruptcy. I was in trouble. So I funded a trading account and I lost a trading account right here. And then I funded a second trading account and I lost a trading account right about here. I had not built the muscle. I had not learned the lesson. Back to Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says, life will keep giving you the same lesson until you get an A in it. After the second trading account, I got an A in it. This is when I started funding my trading account with the Goodwill strategy. Some of y'all don't know that. I guess real briefly, the Goodwill strategy, I don't know that it would work today, but we lived in Nashville and there's lots of high-end communities around Nashville, like Franklin, Brentwood area. So I'd go to Goodwill on half off day. In fact, I think every day had a half off day, like whatever color the tag was, you could go. So I went and I bought baby clothes that were half off at the Goodwill. And they were like brand new. Some of them were brand new with tags on them still. Just the rich folk drop them off at Goodwill because they never used them. And we bundled them up into groups of baby sizes, size 1, size 2, so on and so forth, and sold them on eBay when eBay was cool. I guess eBay still is cool, but when eBay was new. And I made enough money to fund a trading account. This was in 2005, and I had learned the lesson, and I started trading profitably. And that saved me from bankruptcy. That's one of the reasons I feel so compelled to teach other people how to trade the stock market, because yes, when good people have more money, they can do more good things. For me, that good things that I was doing was saving myself from the embarrassment and the struggle of going through a bankruptcy. That's what the stock market did for my family. And I'm literally grateful to it like it was a entity, because I don't know what I would have done. I was working around the clock as it was. I couldn't pick up a second job, and the stock market gave me the means to be able to do that. So anyway, 2007 comes along, and I was pretty well on my way to recovery about here. And then I saw the head and shoulders pattern. It was right here. I saw that. And I had just taken a course on chart patterns and learned about this thing called head and shoulders pattern. I'm like, that looks a lot like a head and shoulders pattern. Okay. That looks a lot like the testing of head and shoulders pattern. What should I do? Self, I think I'll buy puts, right? I just learned about options a little bit prior, started buying puts, and this thing crashed. Do not pass go straight down to the 2009 bottom. And that was when I went from surviving bankruptcy to being rich. I got lucky. But when preparation meets opportunity, it can look a lot like luck. I'm humble about it. I'm grateful to the stock market for what it did. And then right about here, my dad thought I was selling drugs or something. Not literally. That's only funny, I suppose, if you know me, because I'm like a teetotaler. I've been such a goody two shoes my whole life. But he was wondering what the heck I was doing because I started driving a Range Rover instead of a beater with a heater. And that was when I began teaching him and teaching my brother-in-law. And then we hit the bottom. Right about here is where Trade Smart started. This was another season of being terrible. IBLE. Right here, our beginning students were gracious because why? I thought we were like, I just thought markets go down forever, right? And I didn't catch that V bottom. This wasn't as obvious to me as this head and shoulders pattern was right there. So it took a little bit while. And right about here is where Power Trader launched. Can I have a whoop whoop for Power Trader? And that's when I became a well-disciplined trader because now we had hundreds of people that were watching what I was trading at any given time. And I had to start eating my own cooking because trust me, if you have a bad trade in Power Trader, they all send you hate mail. And that is contrary to my primary outcome in life, which is for people to like me. So anyway, and then we took off. And, you know, that whole story hopefully is encouraging to somebody here. There's two things that I'd like you to take away from it. One, right? When I was staring bankruptcy in the eye, I didn't know to language it this way at the time, but I realized nothing can change until something changes. Nothing can change until something changes. For me, that change had to be building the muscle of figuring out how to make money trading. I saw other people doing it. You want to encouraging read the Turtle Traders, TURTL. Is that how you spell turtle? Turtle Traders. I was just telling the team about this as well. This will, and as we say in the South, this will bless your socks off. It's a story about Richard Dennis, who took 25 people from all different walks of life, all different ages, all different education backgrounds, and he taught them how to trade. He gave them money to trade, and they traded his fortune for him. They got to keep 10% of it. It's a story about that. That will encourage you and let you know anybody can learn to trade with the right education. So that's the first thing I want you to take away from it. The second thing is when everybody else was freaked the heck out, FTHO, freak the heck out right here. Actually, right about here is where they were FTHO. I was putting cash in my jeans, hands over fists. Please don't go out and buy a bunch of puts today because I don't know that we're sitting here. We might be sitting here. We very well could be. This economy is not today's economy. This was driven by bank collapses due to completely irresponsible and predatory lending practices. That's not what's happening today. Today, we have a supply chain issue. But point is, there's opportunity. When preparation meets opportunity, it can look a lot like luck. So be encouraged by that. I don't know who needed to hear that. Probably somebody in the future that's going to come across this recording. I hope that was beneficial. When I open up the trading process every day, what's my process? So it's more like a weekly cycle for me. I have some briefings that I read just to make sure that I'm not crazy. Then I analyze the market. So that's all the sectors and all of the indices. Then I scan for trades that meet certain criteria, like the Son of Bonacci, like the Squeezer, like the Morning Glory. And then 3 is place my alerts. I've been trading more with alerts because I'm around my computer, but you could do alerts or contingency orders. And so that really happens primarily on Sunday-ish, 1 and 2, and looking at the trades. And then I have kind of a list of the stocks that I'm watching, and I keep them in my iPad. And that just, that's kind of my game plan for the week ahead. And then I track like a fool. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets done. So if you want to make, another way of saying that is, if you want to save the day, or if you want to save the week, measure daily. If you want to save the month, measure weekly. If you want to save the quarter, measure monthly. So I measure weekly. I'm tracking my progress, how I'm doing on my win-loss ratio, my profit on winning trades, my losses on losing trades. All right. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I'm not seeing a lot of trading questions. I hope that you guys found some encouragement in that. There's always opportunity. Always opportunity. You may need to build a muscle. You may need to get a coach. That's a great way to navigate uncertainty. You may just need to have a little bit of confidence that you've put the preparation in and now the opportunity is here. Whatever it is, I hope you make fat stacks of cash. If you need help or guidance, even if it's outside the stock market, shoot us an email, info@tradesmartu.com. And as appropriate, I would be glad to offer any thinking. I can hop on a Loom video and shoot that over. I've even been known to hop on some Zoom calls and help out. Be blessed, my friends. Go out, make a bunch of money, and do some great things with that cash. We need more good people doing good things in this world. Keep your eyes posted. We've got a lot of special things that are coming down the pike that we're excited to share with you guys. But until next week, blessings on your trades. Take care, y'all.